Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of World of Warcraft Lowdown. I'm Daryl.
And I'm Jason, and today we're going to be reading from Dev Watercooler, Building Healthy Gameplay.
Okay, so last week we talked about squishing stats and pruning unnecessary complexity as part of our ongoing design goals for World of Warcraft Warlords of Draenor. This time we'll look at a few topics all related to one vital element, health.
Player health and resilience. In the next expansion, we're planning several interconnected changes designed to provide better tuned gameplay for healers and improve the healing dynamic in PvP. Woohoo! They did say that, but that's good news to me.
The high amount of base resilience and battle fatigue in Mr. Pandaria currently causes characters to feel much weaker in PvP than they do in PvE. To address this disparity, we're approaching Warlords of Draenor with the goal of shrinking that gap as much as possible. To reduce dependence on resilience, we needed to increase player survivability against other players, and we chose to do this by essentially doubling, post-squish, player health.
On its own, that increase in health would make players more survivable in the world at large, so we're also increasing creatures' damage and effectiveness of healing spells to balance things out. The net result of these changes is that individual attacks will knock a smaller chunk off a player's health pool in PvP, but your survivability in PvE won't be affected.
Doubling player health gave us room to reduce resilience and battle fatigue, but our goal was to be able to remove them entirely. In order to achieve that, we're also reducing PvP spike damage across the board by lowering critical damage and critical heals to 150% of their normal effect, down from 200%.
Our hope is that these changes allow us to reduce base resilience and battle fatigue to 0%. It's possible that we'll still find a need for some minor amount of base resilience or battle fatigue, and we'll be testing these changes extensively and adjusting as needed.
Retuning healing spells. One of our goals for healing in Warlords of Draenor is to tone down the raw throughput of healers relative to the size of the player health pools. Currently, as healers and their allies acquire better and better gear, the percentage of a player's health that any given heal restores increases significantly. As a result, healers are able to refill health bars so fast that we have to make damage more and more bursty in order to challenge them. Ideally, we want players to spend some time below full health without having healers feel like the players they're responsible for are in danger of dying at any moment. We also think that healer gameplay would be more varied, interesting, and skillful if your allies spent more time between 0% and 100%, rather than just getting damaged quickly to low health, forcing the healer to then scramble to get them back to 100% as quick as possible.
To that end, we're buffing heals less than we're increasing creature damage. Heals will be deliberately less potent compared to health pools than before the item squish. Additionally, as gear improves, the scaling rates of health and healing will now be very similar, so the relative power of any given healing spell shouldn't climb so much over the course of this expansion. For those concerned about what this means for raiding, don't worry, we're taking all these changes into account when designing raiding content for Warlords of Draenor.
All of these changes apply to damage absorption shields as well. Additionally, we're toning down the power of absorbs in general. When they get too strong, absorption effects are often used in place of direct healing instead of as a way to supplement it. We will, of course, take these changes into account when tuning specializations that rely heavily on absorbs, such as disciplined priests. Bloody priests and their absorbs.
Look at healing spells that were passive or auto-targeted, so-called smart heals. We want healers to care about who they're targeting and which heals they're using, because that makes healer gameplay more interactive and fun. To that end, we're reducing the healing of many passive and auto-targeted heals, and making smart heals a little less smart. Smart heals will now randomly pick any injured target within range, instead of always picking the most injured target. Priority will still be given to players over pets, of course, which is going to make my gameplay a lot more fun as my monk healer, because renewing mists is a smart heal, and that goes back and forth between different players, but it would be nice to control it a little bit more. And it's true, giving these auto-targeted heals less power, which can be said for a holy paladin, their mastery is illuminated healing. They go off the charts with that stuff, and that's nothing that they control, so it's not necessarily mean that they're a good healer, it's just that their mastery smart computerized heal is way better than you are. It's the same with a Discipline Priest. So it's going to be nice to be able to sort of know that when anyone is topping the charts and healing, not only are you getting obviously a good healer in your raid team, but you're also sure that it is the player that's doing it and not just relying on computerized, intelligent, smart heals. It's someone controlling it, which, like it says, it's going to be more fun.
Yeah, I always wondered that as well. Like, I always noticed it, and I was just thinking now while reading this, it's insane how much like it's going to change healing, and like because you play healers all the time, so it's weird. It's actually going to change it a lot.
Yeah, it is. That's what it says, isn't it? It's going to become a more interactive spec because it's not just with my monk. I can click renewing mists, and that's going to travel between player and player without anything to do with me.
You have said in the past that you get a bit bored of that.
Yeah, so it's going to be cool to sort of think, right, okay, so I do, they do rely on me, not my heals. They rely on what I am doing, so that's going to be fun.
That's really cool. It carries on anyway. Another of our goals for healing in this expansion is to strike a better balance between single-target and multi-target healing spells. We've taken a close look at mana efficiency of our multi-target heals, and in many cases we're reducing their efficiency, usually by reducing the amount they heal. Sometimes, but more rarely, raising their mana cost was a better decision. We want players to use multi-target heals, but they should only be better than their single-target equivalents when they heal more than 2 players without any overhealing. This way, players will face an interesting choice between whether to use a single-target heal or a multi-target heal based on their situation.
See, again, that's another awesome thing. It seems like they are focusing very well on actually making the player behind the healer matter more.
I always thought there was like less tactics in terms of healing. I hated because I always thought I really want to kind of slack in this dungeon. I thought I'd just be a healer because there's always a lot less tactics and a lot less to worry about as a healer.
Again, it's chucking more responsibility at the healer player itself, making them think a little bit more. So that's going to be nice and give us a lot more to do as a healer, so I'm looking forward to that. Finally, we're removing the low throughput, low mana cost heals like Nourish, Holy Light, Heal and Healing Wave, because we think that while they do add complexity, they don't truly add depth to healing gameplay. We're also renaming some spells to reuse those names. For example, Greater Healing Wave is being redubbed Healing Wave. However, we still want healers to think about their mana when deciding which heal to cast, and so the mana costs and throughputs of many spells are being altered to give players a choice between spells with lower throughput and lower costs versus spells with higher throughput and higher costs. Here are some examples of each healer class. See, so that's cool as well, because a lot of healers have their, like it says there, the lower mana costing heals. At one point before Mr. Pandera, they were actually the higher costing mana healing ones, but they didn't really heal that much, but they had the higher cost. It was weird.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
So, now they're going to be taking away Heal and Holy Light and Healing Wave, because, there are cheap costing mana heal, but most of the time they take too long to cast. And they're too little mana, but the heal at the end of it is useless as well, so it's not really, like they say, getting used as much, so it's going to be cool to sort of, I think what it does seem to be focused on in this expansion is taking away a lot of clutter, as they already mentioned from the book, and these will be included, these little cheap heals that, whereas they do probably still get used, but not as useful as the other spells, are not really enough to be able to be used often. So it's good getting rid of them to just get rid of some crap, basically.
Well, I always like the idea of, great heals and stuff. I remember when I briefly healed and stuff like that, it was a scary decision casting Greater Heal, because it's like it was a huge payoff with how much it healed, but it took so long to cast.
Yeah, it was a longer casting time, but you're usually able to sort of time that, really. When you get used to that, how long that cast bar takes to charge up, you can usually sort of predict. So, like I say, that's what they're doing now, though, is they're getting rid of these ones that not really many of us use anymore, because it's a long cast time, cheap mana, but not really big healing payoff. So it's going to, like I say, they're keeping up with the getting rid of the clutter from the book, so that's good. Getting that out of the way.
Here are some examples from each healer class. Druid higher efficiency, healing touch, rejuvenation, efflorence. Druid higher throughput, regrowth and wild growth. Monk higher efficiency, soothing mist and renewing mist. Monk higher throughput, surging mist and spinning crane kick. Paladin higher efficiency, Holy Light, Holy Shock, Word of Glory, Light of Dawn. Paladin higher throughput, Flash of Light, Holy Radiance. Well, I said it like there's something else coming after that then. Paladin higher throughput, Flash of Light, and Holy Radiance. Priest higher efficiency, Greater Heal, Circle of Healing, Prayer of Mending, Holy Nova, New Discipline Only version, and Penance. Priest higher throughput, Flash Heal, and Prayer of Healing. Shaman higher efficiency, Healing Wave, Riptide, Healing Rain. Shaman higher throughput, Healing Surge, and Chain Heal.
See, what they mean by efficiency is what it would be efficiently of mana use. It would be more efficient to use Healing Wave, Riptide, and Healing Rain for a certain situation for mana, but they'll actually generate more healing by using Healing Surge and Chain Heal. So that's what they're trying to get at, is you don't need these 3 spells if you're already generating enough healing with them spells. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I did want to through button shit with me.
As it goes on to read, all of this discussion of efficiency may cause most healers to start worrying about mana regeneration. To allay those concerns, we've increased base mana regen a great deal at early gear levels, while having it scale up less at later gear levels. This will make all these changes play well even in early content, such as heroic dungeons and first tier of raid content, and also play well in the final raid tier without mana and efficiency. And also play well in final raid tier without mana and efficiency becoming irrelevant due to extremely high regeneration values.
That's a lot of big changes for healers. Reduced throughput, more triage, less powerful smart heals, weaker absorbs, fewer spells, and a new focus on efficiency decisions. We're confident that we can apply lessons learned from previous expansions to make this the best healer experience yet. More dynamic, engaging, non-punishing, and frankly a lot more fun.
That's always nice to hear, man. It's always nice to change up that aspect of the game as well, healing.
Rarely happens.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool, but whether or not it'll work, we'll see.
Maybe we're changing classes when it comes along.
Oh, well, you never know. Instant cast heals. Over time, healers have gained a bigger and bigger arsenal of heals that they can cast while on the move, which removes the inherent cost that movement is intended to have for them, while also limiting players' ability to counter healing in PvP. This left silences and crowd control. Fucking hell, I'm reading that really wrong. Over time, healers have gained a bigger and bigger arsenal of heals that they can cast while on the move, which removes the inherent cost that movement is intended to have for them, while also limiting players' ability to counter healing in PvP. This left silences and crowd control, which we're trying to curb, see Pruning the Garden of War, as the only ways to actually limit an enemy player's healing output. We're still preserving the option to instantly heal, but we are reducing the number of instant cast healing abilities overall. Here are some examples. Druid, Wild Growth in the Restoration, now has a 1.5 second cast time.
Monk, Uplift in Mistweaver, now has a 1.5 second cast time.
Paladin, Eternal Flame and Word of Glory now each have 1.5 second cast time when spec'd holy. Light of Dawn now has 1.5 second cast time.
Priest, fucking hell, I said that really excitedly.
Priest? Yeah.
Priest, fantastic. Yeah. Priest, Cascade, Divine Star and Halo now each have a 1.5 second cast time. Prayer of Mending now has a 1.5 second cast time also.
So that's like pretty much given every single instant cast on a heal that you, well, at the moment is an instant cast.
Yeah, that's really
1.5
strange.
5 second cast time.
1.5 seconds.
Yeah, it's for PvP, innit? So like, because you got to think, man, literally there's no way a player can stop an instant cast. There's nothing you can do apart from a silence and a crowd control, like it says. So now they're giving it a chance to be stopped. Cool, yeah. So there's no way an instant heal.
It kind of does seem to focus a bit on PvP, but they do address the fact that it's weird. They're trying to make it harder for PvE as well, but
I don't think it'll matter too much to PvE because it's only a 1.5 second cast time.
Yeah, but it does stop you from moving for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go out of range in that 1.5 seconds.
But so at one point, I suppose it kind of, but it's not as big as it's not as big as a upset as it is to not being able to interrupt it in PvP, because that one instant cast heal could be the lifesaver. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's because it couldn't be interrupted, so it kind of makes sense. I get what they're doing.
Yeah, sure.
All of these changes taken together are intended to make gameplay more consistent between PvE and PvP, and invigorate healers with more dynamic gameplay.
These are only some of the many changes that you'll be seeing as we continue development, and what we've shared so far is only one piece of a much larger puzzle. We hope that as we share more with you here on the official site, the forums, and on Twitter, you'll get a good understanding of what's to come in Warlords of Draenor and the direction we're working towards. As always, keep in mind that any of this information could change over the course of testing process. We look forward to seeing your constructive feedback. It's crazy how much so far, I thought Warlords of Draenor was literally just going to be like an expansion and then not many changes, but
yeah, they are changing quite a decent fair bit. Like they're looking into a fair few things that have been moaned about, for a while now.
It's stuff that even some of it as well that hasn't been massively brought to attention, but they're just changing.
No, I mean that healing thing. I wasn't really aware they were changing anything to do with healing. Well, now we know. I mean, they're definitely working on it.
So it's cool that they're going to release more of these as well, because there's a lot of detail that they go into, and that's just on healing now.
Yeah, it's quite cool to see that they're giving us a lot more to do as well with the smart heals and everything. So yeah,
I'm really hoping for a tank in one soon, hopefully, and see what they're doing with that.
For sure.
Alright guys, thank you very much for checking out this video. This is Daryl.
And this is Jason, and keep it here for your next installment of World of Warcraft Lowdown.
That's what I was thinking.